Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video will be the introduction of a big topic, which is the layout of the page and its methods. First, first thing we are going to show is the normal flow, which we already know. In fact, that the um, the elements of our page has display property that are in block or in line. If you, I don't know if you remember. Anyway, I will create other elements. I cut and create other elements during the course. Anyway, you remember that H1 here is a block element. It occupies its line. For example, these elements are behaving in line, even if theoretically are in block. We will reach this later. So, and for example, a paragraph is block but strong. B, they are inline elements, etc., etc. I hope you saw HTML and you remember this. And this is what is called the normal flow, but we're going to see how we can manipulate it to display it differently. And then we haven't seen flex and inline, flex and grid. When we use display block or display inline, we are specifying which kind of the two behavior we want for our particular element. When we use display flex, we are specifying that we want our display property to be flexible, and we are going to assign each element inside relatively inside our system to behave in a certain way. This will become clearer once now we are going to talk about the flex blocks. So once you display flex, you can display with flex direction and using align item and justify content. Here we have you look at this. We have I created a div which is called class flex wrapper, and then inside we have box 1, box 2, and box 3. So flex wrapper, what it is? Flex wrapper display flex, and then display flex wrapper div is just placing for the div elements inside the flex wrapper a padding, a margin, and a background color. Now let's have a look. And as I show you, this is the result. This is the result. So flex wrapper. This is the flex wrapper. Is the whole block, and then inside we have our boxes. Our free boxes, and as you see how here we have display flex enabled. If we disabled it, they start to behave as before. So they behave like they are one each. They behave independently. Now in this way they are relative with each other. Since we are displaying flex, we can even work with flex direction. And as you can see, we can work with columns and set now columns, and now we are working with the columns, or with the row, and then now we're working with the row, row reversal. Anyway, it's important to understand that with flex direction we can work with both row and columns, and this we will understand how it is later. Anyway, we are going to talk about this a lot in this course, and so I don't speak about this anymore, but I keep going with grids. So Here we have our grid wrapper. With grid, we can work like tables. The grid creates like a table, and as we can see here, sorry, same. As we can see, we have this grid, which is quite beautiful to that might be useful like for the sidebar, nav, etc., etc. And how we created it. We have this our grid wrapper, and then gbox1, gbox2, gbox3, gbox4, etc., etc. Then our grid wrapper display grid. We have what we have here: grid template, columns. We are saying we have 3 columns. So our the software knows we want 3 columns, and the temple rows. Here we specified the size of the row. Let's look it at on the page. If we examine, okay. So if we take here, if this is the size of the rows, so if we do like this, we are saying sorry, that the first row is 2200 pixel, and the second it's 200, something like this. Now we can manipulate like this, and this is the grid gap. So if we increase it, our grids got reduced, and because of an increased gap between each other, but 10 is fine. And what else? What else? Here, here, for example, let's return to the code. How do we edit it? Here we have the div inside, we have the margin, padding, and the color. But what do we have here? Here we are saying that our gbox1 occupies the grid columns from 2 to 4. From 2 to 4. What does it mean? It means that our gbox1 is occupying the second. If we were telling from this 2 to 3, if we were telling 2 to 3, it would be like from 2 to 3. Then that's why we need to say from 2 to 4, even if the fourth doesn't exist. So it occupies also the third row, and this grid row is 1. The gbox2 is grid column 1, and grid column from 1 to 3. So from if we manipulate it and is unset now, okay, it's 1, it returns like this, etc., etc., like even the other same behavior. But if we return back, if we refresh it, it returns immediately the same. And yes, then we talk about the float. So float can be left, right, none, or inherit, as you can see here. Now let's see. I cut it and created one simple thing. Here we have the h1, the float, and a p. Let's examine. Let's see the code maybe before. Here we have exactly h1, div, and p. Let's examine the thing. And let's see this. Do you see this dot float has a float right, has a float left with hidden margin? What happens if I um, untip this, it starts behaving like it should normally, so occupy its online. If I do like this, it occupies it's floating to the right, and the text is becoming sort of in line. Theoretically, it's not in line, but it looks like so. What if we do like as we said, right, it goes to the right, and if we say none, it occupies its own line. This might be very useful to if you want to attach a small image to your text to show something or something like this. But yes, that's all for this. So now I cut and create something else. So I created the three paragraphs, 3P, um, and I added some features that we are going to discuss because I wanted to show you this positioning. Positioning can be static, relative, absolute, fixed, and sticky. So this is the code class sample positioned, where this is the one we are interested to see, the second P. Here we can see the code, but it's better if we just look it from here. Let's examine. A little too short. So here is the sample, and here sample positioned. As you see now, position is static, which means that we cannot move. We cannot move it, and so it does nothing. It's just the normal flow. If we place the position as a relative, now we can move it. And as you see, it has changed its position because now we can specify its exact location with top, left, bottom, and right. So we can move it everywhere we want, theoretically. With top, bottom, left, right. Then we have absolute, and now you see it has disappeared and is here up on the top. Why this? Because now that is absolute, its position is respecting its parent, which in this case is a div class with nothing, so it's like the body. Yes, this div class is confusing, but let's say that the parent is the body, because it behaves like the parent is the body, because the div class has no features, and so it's going up, and it remains there. Whatever we do, it will remain there. Okay, so this is what it actually does position absolute. It will be absolute to the and go up, and then you move it from its absolute position. Position fixed, as we can see now, no, is not only at the top, but it moves on with the screen. So it moves with the screen, so you can so yes, if you want this kind of features, you can add it with fixed. Then sticky, I don't show it to you because I wanted to cut it short. It's just once you pass it on, it remains linked to the page. Anyway, we move forward. We see these other kind of layouts.